these two together making this journey. And I appreciate the effort that was put into making all these pieces fit together. But if you're just watching this isn't a lot of the film, what I just described. That's like maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I have never once thought about piecing any of that together, Jay. I'm like, this is a lot. This is a cell phone. They need to take a cell phone there. But yeah, it's wildly convoluted.
Right. And
you do not need the Matador at all. Like,
no, there's don't. Yeah.
There's no need for that. And then he sacrifices himself at the end for his daughter.
Ugh.
It's yes. But for some reason, I enjoy this movie because of cheeky moments, I guess. It's like, you know what's funny? To rewatch this, I almost just fast forwarded to my favorite bits.
I could see that, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like I love the scene where Knoxville's tied up or Connor Watts.
He's upside down in a bowling alley. It's great. Yeah. Great introduction to a character. And they genuinely use the line, "I bet you're wondering how I got this way."
Yeah, they use narration in the beginning that never comes back.
Oh, and the cool introduction shots for the different characters.
The comic book stuff.
Those are great. But I don't know who most of those characters are. Like we said, Handsome Willie. He is kind of in this film, but doesn't really. He's like kind of a big part, but doesn't really do anything. He's just there often.
He's just Handsome Willie.
He's just Handsome Willie. He's got a cane. That's it.
Man, I would love to be a criminal. So on the Silverado podcast, I'd say I was Mark the adult. I would love to be like a Handsome Hoffmeyer as my name.
This is the Silverado Minute podcast that Mark and I are guest hosts of for a week. That'll be coming out, I think, in April sometime soon. Hopefully.
But yeah, Handsome Mark or Handsome Hoffmeyer.
It's a cool nickname. If you're gonna get given a nickname, you want it to be complimentary.
Like Handsome Willie? Mark, your name's Mark Hoffmeyer. Why are you Handsome Willie? I like it. It sounds great. Mark Handsome Willie Hoffmeyer. And Renny just said, I did that too. I just did this too. I thought they were cool. I wanted to make like a comic book opening to make it seem neat. And
I like it. And I wanted more of that.
And I thought, there's a narration. I think there was so many cooks in the kitchen in this movie. So watching behind the scenes footage, Jackie was directing, he was dealing with extras. Then you also have there's a credit. The first ever credit I've ever seen was development executive. Then there's a story, there's a screenplay. This could have been a really brisk 90 minutes with two awesome actors. I love Knoxville and Chan. So
they do work well together.
But I will say, I love the act. Like, he's tied up. He gets put in a barrel. He's rolled. Then he goes under a car. Then he gets shot into a factory. And then he's just, there's zip ties and there's
conveyor belts. He gets stamped a bunch of times. He gets tied up. Yeah.
It's like a derelict factory for sure that should not be open.
It's a Russian doll factory.
Yeah, Russian doll factory. And I mean, listen, the little bit where Dasha is just punching the things in Benny's hands, it's little cheeky, nice things like that I enjoy. I mean, that's a funny little bit.
Yeah, it gets a little immature when she's trying to get through a small gap and she can't because her boobs are too big, and Jackie Chan's like,
Renny wrote that.
Size D? And she's like, double D. I'm like, oh, God, this is for like 12-year-old boys.
And it's funny, Renny wrote that, and he's like, that's a funny thing. I'm like, Renny. That's not Jackie Chan does not do D jokes. You know what I mean? Like, he's not any D joke, actually. He's not that guy. So it definitely feels out of place. But I loved her punching the Russian dolls, and just, I guess there was some creativity to the action scene, which I really appreciated. And also knowing Jackie Chan, watching Jackie Chan, seeing him in this age, still jumping and moving, and
he's
just
60.
watching Knoxville. 60. So he was like 50?
No, he's 60 in this. He's 65 now.
Oh, he's 60. Oh, wow. So just watching how spry he is. I like the combination of how graceful he is, and just Knoxville, right? I was watching Jackass 2, and there's a scene where a bull's about to hit him. And you can tell by the way that he moves his legs that he doesn't plant his legs, get his knees destroyed. Like, he knows how to land. He knows how to get hit. But everything he lands is clunk. Like, he clunks on everything. Like, when he falls, it seems unnecessarily hard. So then you have his clunkiness and you have the gracefulness of Chan. And it's, that action scene, I don't know, the first time I watched it just made me happy. It's a nice little scene. No one dies. Has some cheeky little humor in there. The Russian doll bit is funny. And I don't know. Maybe, when you kind of have blinders for certain actors. And so I think just watching Renny, Knoxville, and Chan just made me give it a pass. But I don't know. It's a fun scene. I don't know. I like scenes that build like that. That's what I kind of miss about Jackie Chan's films, when he has ladders and he uses everything in the warehouse. Anything where he's in, he will use that as a weapon.
Yeah.
I just love that style.
There's stuff in here. I've never seen somebody use a binding machine in a fight before. So having these guys get themselves strapped together when they're trying to fight each other, that's great. I love that kind of thing.
But yeah, you could fast forward. I wish someone would edit me a supercut. Okay, so if I'd have a supercut of this movie, it would be that fight. It would be Knoxville buying the horse and then the horse not running. That's really funny to me. Knoxville knocking out Benny out of the 3-wheel car, then he goes up a hill and it just slows down and then Benny just walks up and catches him. I actually like the goat testicle bit, Jay. Because in most movies they're like, ugh. In most movies, they're like, and they're barfing them. Yeah. But Knoxville's like, these are good. And then Benny's eating them later. Then he grabs 2. So it's like, it's kind of like, most movies, they look at foreign food like, oh, this is the nastiest thing I've ever had. Like, just real xenophobic. But Knoxville's like, oh, I like these goat testicles. They're good.
I have been to China a couple of times.
Yeah.
And some of the food that I had was disgusting. So I wasn't brave enough to try chicken feet. It just looked horrible to me. But I wasn't presented with goat testicle. But I think I wouldn't have tried it. So good on Knoxville for saying you liked it.
Where in China did you visit?
I went to Shenzhen, so it's like the industrial place. It was with work. It was to the factories. And I think the worst thing they had there, food wise, that we tried, was me and my boss, was beef speck. They called it, which is just really long strips of beef fat, like really thin. Like kind of bacon, but imagine like 2 or 3 times as long. And I didn't try it because my boss had some first, and he said that when he was still chewing it in his mouth when he could feel it in his stomach. It was like that long. And so when he said that, I was like, I'm not going to have any. Thanks for taking the butt on that one. I'm going to pass.
Oh, man. I ate everything I could find out there, man. When I went to Beijing. And no, I mean, but did you have a good time out there? Like, you saw some cool stuff, or was it mostly work?
It was all work, yeah. The first one was cool. We visited some different factories. Went to there's like a theme park kind of place there. The second time I went, I just had to stay in a hotel room for 2 weeks, which was kind of brutal. But it was practice for lockdown. Yeah, it wasn't great. But it was an experience, trying different things.
I was living in Korea and I had a quick break, so I went over there. Just took my backpack and like a CD player with 2 random CDs that I picked and some extra clothes. And I had a broken finger and a beard. And I took all my old clothes because I wanted to go to the Great Wall of China. So I knew a couple random people out there that could hook me up. But I went out there looking like a total nerf herder. And I ended up getting to the Great Wall of China, though. That was awesome. And then I went down a section, I met like another group of people there. They were from another section of China. They're like, hey, let's go down this way. So I was like, okay, why not? And then I had to sprint about a mile to get back to my bus before it left me.
No.
But like, I bought Tsing Tao. I'll put them in my backpack. People wouldn't let me into clubs. It was I saw a dude get shellacked. So the Olympics had just gotten over, and there was a bunch of empty storefronts. And I was walking through this ghost town of new stores that were empty. And this guy comes running around a corner being chased by a mob. And he just got steamrolled next to me. So I took a couple pictures and ran away. But yeah, it was a good trip. But yeah, I don't know. But I got to say, you know what I like about Renny is, like with Cliffhanger, when you watch that, he went to Italy to go shoot. He went on a mountain. Like, I feel this movie really gives you a nice, when they're out in Mongolia, they went to Mongolia, and it just gives you a really beautiful look of the land. I know it's a travel log by, what Jackie wanted to be, but I still like the on-location aesthetic of it.
Oh, and there's a cool cliffhanger scene in this where they're having to zip wire across a chasm. Which, like, they're in a city that they've just had the mud fight you mentioned, and to escape the city they have to pass these. There's a group of women on the steps. They have to sing to let them pass.
One of Jackie Chan's songs. He has a big hit in China.
Oh, cool. And then
the
henchmen have to do the same thing. But as soon as we then cut from the city to they're now in the middle of nowhere, like up a mountain, no civilization to be seen anywhere, just a zip wire across this river. There are some real editing leaps in as we just cut from.
Yes.
Okay, I'm done with this fun bit. I want to get to another fun bit. I don't want a boring scene in the middle. Let's just cut. Let's just go from here to here. You don't need to do any legwork in between. It's fine. And you just kind of go with it.
They go over 1,000 miles, Jay.
They walk.
It's a massive continent. Massive. Their journey was huge. I mean, from Mongolia to where they end up at. I mean, that's
a long way.
That little 3-wheeled bike would take them years.
And then a horse that will only go 100 miles, and then after that, Jackie Chan has a horse, and Knoxville's just walking behind it. Yeah, this is going to be a very long journey.
Oh yeah, when he buys that horse. Oh man.
Well, and like they're going through the desert and they just stumble upon this kid who apparently is injured, and Joey Knoxville steals his horse. Jackie Chan helps him, so then when they get captured and Joey Knoxville's got to fight this giant, and Jackie Chan steps in, he's allowed to survive because he helped this kid. It's an odd narrative.
Maybe that's why I like it too, because it is so wildly convoluted. The geography, nobody cares about at all. And yeah, it's an odd one. And these Russians really want to bring Knoxville back for this lady.
Yeah, I'm guessing the mob, her dad is very high up in the mob.
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
Yeah, he must be the mob. I mean, he has an army. Like, he has Russians that can just bust into Beijing.
Yeah,
and go to war.
He has resources. Yeah.
I mean, I did really like. You know what we haven't talked about though? The taser moment too.
Yes, the very Deep Blue Sea moment of a fish tank, as a fish tank, being with the cracking glass, water going over the floor, and then people being electrocuted in the water. It's very Deep Blue Sea.
Whoa! Well, I have told you on multiple occasions that Renny Harlin has water, and water plays an important part in every single one of his films. Now that so on a scale of Deep Blue Sea to The Covenant, where would you rank this movie?
In terms of quality?
Yeah.
Or how my enjoyment? It is nearer The Covenant than Deep Blue Sea. I think it's fair to say. I mean, just looking at the Renny Harlin films that we've covered on this show.
Yeah, rank them. I want to hear your ranking.
Okay, give me a minute. I need to just work out what they all are.
I just dropped this on you.
You did. So we've covered Cutthroat Island, Mindhunters, Cliffhanger, 12 Rounds, The Covenant, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, and now Skiptrace, I think, are the Renny Harlin films. And on top of that, I've seen, obviously, Deep Blue Sea, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Die Hard 2, and Long Kiss Goodnight. So
how would you rank them?
Deep Blue Sea is at the top. I feel like that's a given. It's a perfect film.
Actually, rank them from the bottom, because it would take you longer to get the Skiptrace. Like, Mindhunter is above it, right? Long Kiss Goodnight, Cutthroat. I would say they're all, after spending time with you talking about them, you definitely prefer them, right?
Yeah. So The Covenant is easily at the bottom. That is definitely at the bottom. Then I like everything else. That's the only Renny film I don't like is The Covenant so far. I might put Skiptrace next, if I'm honest with you. Because
I mean, that's fair.
I like it, but it's I like everything else more. So then it's Skiptrace. Then it'll probably be 12 Rounds. Fun, but unessential, I will say. It's decent, but if you've seen Speed and if you've seen Die with a Vengeance, you've seen 12 Rounds. What's next? I'm going to then put in Nightmare on Elm Street 4, just because it's been so long since I've seen it, I don't remember it a great deal. So I'll put that in next.
Waterbed gag.
Yeah. I mean, the whole climax of Skiptrace, you've got Fan Bingbing is underwater. She's on a boat that's sinking. So more water, and then